It took me a long time to figure out that I didn't have all the answers. It took me a long time, probably till I was 16, 17, 18 years old, till I got out into the real world, so to speak, until I figured out real quickly that I was the one that didn't have all the answers. We live in a world where people need to learn to pick up themselves by their own bootstraps, so to speak, right? That everyone's got to work hard for what they want. And everyone's got to do what they need to do to be successful. But what about doing what needs to be done even when it doesn't make sense? Maybe even when you don't have the answers in front of you. I've talked about the movie The Karate Kid before. I love The Karate Kid. It's a classic. It's about a kid and, he learns a lot of life lessons and he learns a lot of karate. And so hence The Karate Kid. And in the movie, the kid named Daniel is excited because he's just convinced Mr. Miyagi to teach him karate. And he goes for his first lesson. Mr. Miyagi has him wash his car, wax it. He has him paint fences. He shows him how he wants it to be done. Wax on, wax off, no karate whatsoever, no moves, no discipline, no exercise, just work. Daniel's frustrated. He pitches a fit. He says he never wanted to teach him karate, just have him work. I'm just here to be your slave, I think he says. And then the moment of realization comes when Mr. Miyagi asks him to show him the moves that he's been doing over and over and over again for the past few days. Wax on, wax off. Daniel didn't know it, but he was creating those basic karate moves with muscle memory. How often are we faced with something in life that just doesn't make sense? How often is an obstacle put in our way? Or a trial put in our path that we just don't understand? Pretty often. That's like the theme of adulthood. How often do you ask God the question, why are you doing this to me, God? Why doesn't this make sense? The children of Israel had this happen to them. In Joshua chapters 1, 2, and 6, we learn about the fall of the walls of Jericho. And this is one of the oldest Bible stories. One of the Bible stories that if you sat through Sunday school, you probably know all about it, but let's kind of rehash it just for a second. Jericho was a small city of about 10 acres. That's not a lot. There are people that own farms that are much, much bigger than that just around here. But it was packed with as many as 10,000 people. 10 acres, again, is not much land. It's estimated that at least half of those 10,000 people were soldiers. Joshua, meanwhile, commanded 600,000 men. Now, you do the math, 600 against 5,000 soldiers and 5,000 civilians. That's pretty great odds. They could have easily, without much loss, overtaken the city of Jericho, despite its double-walled structure. They had these double-walled structures where if you got over one wall, the archers would pick you off on the other wall, right? But what did God do? Oh, we can take them, right? What did God do? Instead of telling them to just go and take the city, God told them to march around the wall. Okay, let me reiterate this. Instead of easily capturing the city in maybe a matter of minutes or hours, God told them to march around the city 7 times each day, then 7 times on the last day. He told them to blow their trumpets after that. I don't know about you, but I would be the one raising my hand and saying, hey, am I the only one that thinks this is dumb? Can't we just overtake the city? Can't we just do it already? I would be the impatient one speaking out. Why would God do this? Well, He's a sovereign being. He is the sovereign being. He created us. He knows us. He knows everything about us. Maybe it's because God wanted to work things out so that they knew that it wasn't them who did it. You ever thought about that? God wants us to work things out in our lives and see His power. He wants to know us to know who's really in charge. He wants to know that it wasn't us. He wants us to realize that we, in our own power, do not have all the answers. He does. He wants us to follow Him, even when it doesn't make sense.